today. Shannon?
All right, Caroline, thank you. Well, joining us now with their thoughts on both Iran's nuclear announcement and the president's upcoming speech on Afghanistan, we've got Republican Congressman and member of the House Armed Services Committee, Trent Franks from Arizona, and Democratic Congresswoman and member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Sheila Jackson-Lee from Texas. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with Iran. Congresswoman, I'm interested in your reaction to the news today.
Well, let me first of all say that we know that Iran is in the crosshairs of the international family, and that is that there is not one single ally and non-ally that doesn't want Iran to stand down from nuclear proliferation. I believe that there needs to be, in this instance, a complete unity on standing against any continuation by Iran and the continued intolerance of democracy there. There is not a glimmer of light that separates any of us in the world family that Iran must stand down, and they must stand down now.
And Congressman, I would imagine that that is something that's got bipartisan backing, that thought.
Well, it certainly does. You know, my office was the first to call for Iran to be referred to the Security Council almost 4 years ago. And if Iran gains control of nuclear weapons, I believe it's a matter of time before terrorists in the world will have those weapons, and it will change every concept of freedom, every concept of security that we've ever had in America. It will push every other issue off the table. And I just have to go on record here, not to sound too partisan, but I truly believe that if this president's policies of appeasement and indecision continue, it will mean the gravest of consequences for American national security and peace in the world. And Iran is just one aspect of that.
And obviously another very important front from the president is going to be Afghanistan. We'll hear from him on Tuesday night as he addresses the nation and announced what we're going to do going forward. Congresswoman, what would you like to hear from him on Tuesday night?
Well, first of all, to my good friend, our president is not an appeaser, if you will. I think his standing in the world, the increasing relationships and friendship that have been developed since he has become president has really drawn the world together in a unified voice on the question of Iran and the intolerance that we have for that government and the leadership of that government. But first of all, I want to say that our president has been a deliberator in the right sense of the word. He has not been delaying, he has been consulting, and that's positive. I have said that I do not want to see more troops go into Afghanistan, but I believe the president has to speak in two voices, one to the world and one to the American people who have lost their interest, not their interest as much as their support for the war in Afghanistan, because it is not a war where Al-Qaeda is, it is a war of insurgents. It's a war where the Taliban is fighting its own government. It's a civil war, and we've had the largest number of casualties that have occurred since in this year in the month of October. The question will be, how much will our allies support our efforts? How many troops will we have to send? Will our allies send the extra 10,000, meaning NATO? Will they be supportive? And will we be able to convince the Taliban that we're here to stand with a government that will hopefully be a non-corrupt government and against their actions, but at the same time recognize that the Taliban are Afghans and they have not given up yet. They didn't give up with Russia, and the question is, how long will they persist, and how long will the American people be willing to sacrifice on behalf of this kind of civil war?
And Congressman, I'll give you the final word here.
Well, in terms of the president's deliberation, he certainly has not deliberated on a lot of things like stimulus and clunkers, or cash for clunkers, and take over the government, taking over health care. There's a lot of things he's very decisive on, but when it comes to the military challenges, he speaks with so many voices, as my good friend says, that no one really knows what he stands for. And I'm sure that Ahmadinejad is indeed appreciative of his, quote, friendship, but he seems to have no respect for the president's policies, announcing that they're going to build 10 more nuclear enrichment facilities. We live in a very challenging world, and if this president does not wake up soon, or at least change his commitment to this liberal ideology that seems to completely miss the danger of a jihad, then I feel like the future generations, and even this one, may be gravely affected by it.
And that is a misinterpretation. I fully believe that the president has drawn international support, which is what we need in the instance of Iran and Afghanistan, and the two voices that he will speak in be one to the world, which is necessary, but to the American people. We'll have to decide whether or not this is in the best interest of the American people and for world peace.
All right, we got to leave it there. We thank you both for the spirited debate today, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee and also Congressman Trent Franks. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And be sure to tune in to the Fox News